and there she is, degreased, derusted, derusted, degreased, and washed like 4 times, and scrubbed. Uh, Still looks real scuzzy. Can't really get into all the cracks and crevices with the brush I have. So we're just gonna run with that. Might pressure wash it, might not, probably won't. I'm lazy. So just gonna check on the oil real quick. And just see if it has oil in it. And looks like it. Yeah, honestly, that didn't look too terrible. I mean, it looks like the stuff in my car after about 2,000, 1,500 miles. Probably 2,000. Needs a little more in it because it's got a leak down there, or up there. It's got a leak somewhere. She's got oil, so I guess I can attempt to run her. I haven't checked. Is the choke free? Choke is reasonably free. Free enough that I can adjust it. So that is choked, and that is unchoked. What about the throttle? Wherever the throttle is. You're the governor. Well, the throttle works. Throttle's super free. So I'm assuming up is more throttle. Well, there's the accelerator screw, so I'm going to assume that is throttle closed. That is throttle open. Let's see, governor. That's going to be a pain in the neck. Oh, this seems mostly fine. So, how scuzzy this choke feels. There's got to be some garbage in there. That's the plan. That's the button. Oh, that is a button. And I guess that's the stop. Luckily, there's a pretty good detailed instruction manual from Briggs and Stratton that I've been looking at, and it covers basically everything. Only thing it doesn't cover is disassembly. So, should be fairly easy as I say that and jinx myself. I pulled the spark plug, sprayed a bunch of liquid wrench down there, and as you can see, it's dripping out the bottom of the intake and dripping out the exhaust. So both the valves work. Can't really see the cylinder head. That's what I really wanted to get it on, was to get it down into the cylinder, and piston head. Can't really see the piston, so hopefully the rings are free. Alright, so I started freeing things up. Got all these valves to move, got the fuel lines to crack. Well, not to crack, but, broke them free. Worked on all the intake stuff, well, most of it. And took cover off the flywheel, and oh boy, she is scroty in there. Yeah, that's a big old pile of some bullshit there. It's not fighting me much, actually. The hardest bolt I had to do was this one, which holds on this fuel tank bracket and this top bracket and the head bolts. And something I don't like about this is that, although it's a very good, design, simplicity-wise, this top cover is held on by head bolts. So I have to remove the head in order to remove that. Well, I don't have to remove the head, but I got to remove the bolts, and then I've got to retorque everything and potentially ruin the gasket. But I just went by and I broke all the torque on these and put it right back on just to make sure none of them were seized. And she's not fighting me much. This guy felt like it wanted to snap, but it was just some, dissimilar metal corrosion in there. This guy probably took 50 foot-pounds. The rest all came free with about 30 to 40. Yep, these came off real easy. I just whacked on that thing over there with a piece of wood and a hammer. It came off. Whacked on that came off. It's going pretty good. Well, got the screws out of the points. And it looks really damn good in there. I'm honestly blown away. And I've got her just before top dead center, and boop, points work. See? They open right up. You know, they look scroty. They need to be filed on. They need to be cleaned, but they're working, and it looks great in there. Ain't too much left of that gasket, but I'll just put that back on until I can find a file that works. Alright, well the fuel tank came off, disconnected this line, then I disconnected this line, and I'm just going to leave that on the fuel tank. Just feel that sediment. And, ooh, look at that varnish. About the consistency of molasses. Well, something must be horribly wrong with this engine because it's just letting me take it apart, and usually that doesn't happen unless something's horribly wrong. Okie dokie. Air cleaner's off. That didn't really fight at all either. And let's take a gander at that there choke. Oh yeah, that's scroty, but she chokes. I don't know why that's been all to hell, but gotta get one side of that off. Hopefully if I'm lucky I can just, actually, you know what, I think I can just pull the carb and then unhook that throttle linkage and pull her on out. So we're gonna try that. Well, that didn't fight too bad at all. You know, and I can even link this throttle linkage right behind the governor lever. So let's take a gander into this here carb. Alright, there's the carb. And from the top end she doesn't look too bad. You know, there's some smuts down here on the choke, but I'm not seeing anything crazy. I mean, I'll have to get in there and tear the bowl apart, and I'm sure that's hella nasty, but at the moment I'm not seeing anything overly worrying. The hell, this gasket doesn't even look terrible. That's weird. Well, turns out this is a tensioner, so I've loosened that, and the choke opens and closes a lot easier, but I've got a piece of paper towel shoved in it, so you'll have to believe me. This screw for the throttle moves just fine. The idle mixture screw moves just fine. Broke free all three of these, only one of these. That guy is slightly wallowed out. And took this thing out. And I'm not entirely sure what this is. It's some kind of valve with a needle on it. It's very tight. And goes into that. I mean, it does this can't be the needle in the seat. Some kind of, I think it's like a fuel shutoff valve. Not really certain, but that thing's kind of mangled in there. Alright, so I've got this apart, and now that I'm looking down there, it appears that that is part of the jet, and it's fighting me trying to come up, and I'm assuming it's related to this. So, guess we're going to take that back out and try and figure out how to get this dingless off. And I got that off. I feel like that's going to be a major pain in the ass to get back in, but I think the way I do that is I push that out that end and then push it back up. At least that's what I'm hoping, and honestly, this isn't too terrible. I was expecting a lot worse. It's a brass float. Float seems to be fine. Needle appears to be stuck, so we'll pop on that, see if it frees up, and I'm gonna see about driving that out with without fucking mangling it. Needle's got some scrotage on it, but we'll just clean that off. It came out with pretty much no resistance, so we're just gonna stick that back in there and pretend we didn't see anything. Nah, I'm gonna try and wipe as much of this shit out of here as possible, and then see if I can put it back together without driving this out, because I'm absolutely certain I will ruin this if I try and push it out with something, even if I use tiny little jeweler's hammer and a nylon punch. I'm sure I will fuck that up. Well, I just managed to slide that right back on down in there without much trouble at all, and fuck, I think I might just be able to blow some compressed air through the fuel lines and clean out the tank. Hell, I might even bypass the tank just so I don't have to do that. I might be able to get her to fucking fire with just a new fuel tank. Fill this up, clean up the points, get a new spark plug, clean up the spark plug wire, and shit, she might go. Damn. Well, butter my butt and call me the guy with the buttery butt. I was able to get the entire fuel filter apart, and it barely even fought me. The hardest thing on it was getting this little wing nut off the bottom. And as you can see, she's got some rust, and she's got some sediment in there. And ooh yeah, look at that varnish. It's about the consistency of strawberry jelly. And I'm sure that's also leaded gasoline. So I'm going to try not to touch my face, because I do that all the time, because I don't want lead poisoning. Well, any more lead poisoning than I already have. Like, hell, I was even able to get the brass fittings out. That's just weird. Yeah, I'm just going to try and clean it as best I can. Not really sure if I'm going to be able to. Is that a cork gasket? Try and keep that gasket in place. Fuck, we might be able to reuse the original fuel tank. God, this is getting insane. Well, like most things in life, you spray enough brake clean at it and your problem goes away. Yeah, she cleaned up real good. Had to delete that gasket, but no biggie. I mean, this is a pretty outdated type of filter, so I would just replace this and bypass it with a regular plastic filter if I was gonna do this. But just to be authentic, we're gonna keep it. We're just not gonna be able to use the original fuel tank unless I go buy a gasket set. But had to be done, had to be cleaned out. Currently got the glass bowl over there soaking, and we're gonna see what the heck is in here. Doesn't really have a design conducive to cleaning itself out, but yeah, look at that. That's a lot of rust, so it's probably best that we don't use this fuel tank. So I'm probably just going to rig up something with a fuel filter and totally bypass it. There we go. I can just push a piece of 5/16 fuel line over that and just bypass that. So that's what I'm gonna do. Ugh. Yeah, that's fucking awful. Oh God, I have resistance on the pick. Oh man, that's gonna be fun to clean. So I've just got the cover off the points and condenser, and I've got some 300 grit sandpaper on a piece of scrap metal, and we're just gonna sand on these points. And I can't open up the points wide enough to get this in here while filming, so stand by. This is really not conducive to doing this one-handed. I'm gonna work on that a little bit more, but it's probably pretty good. Don't really know what this scuzz is, but we're gonna get it off. And it's probably good enough, so we're just gonna leave that. This wire down here on the back of the flywheel looks kind of scuzzy, but I'm just gonna ignore them because I don't want to take that flywheel off. Now we're gonna work on this up here. I'm gonna sand this up, and I'm gonna sand on the spark plug too, which probably shouldn't have sprayed in all that garbage. Just to see if we can confirm spark. The wire filed on the spark plug. I'm gonna pull that out and confirm spark maybe. Well, I can't confirm spark and I can't get it to fire on starting fluid, so we're just gonna worry about that later. I'm gonna change on the oil now. I've seen a lot worse. It's gonna take forever. A lot of sludge in there. Well, she's plumb full of oil now, and I didn't even think we got a quart out of it. Hell, shit, that's like a pint. And she just sucked down more than half of that. That's supposed to have 5 quarts in it. I think it was 1 low. So she makes better compression now. Spinner, and she really sucks down on it. She spins a lot better, actually. I think that's all she needed was just, not, a quarter of the fucking oil it's supposed to have. Sip, sip. Go for it. Hurry up. Give her a quarter turn. There we go. Okay, now everything fires up. One more go. Alright, so I found my box of rocks. So we're just going to chuck some rocks in here. And we'll put the lid back on her. And hopefully we can get those rocks back out. We're just going to, shake that around, beat the snot out of it, hope it doesn't bust a hole in the wall, and hopefully get most of that rust off. Alright, now that I've dropped my phone on the floor and managed to save it by kicking it with a steel toe boot straight in the screen, we're just going to fill this up with way too much of this. And we're going to shake that around and hopefully get most of that rust down into that pipe so I can pull that off and drain it all out. Alright, well that worked, but not as well as I like, so we're just going to put some 91% isopropyl alcohol in it and swish that around. Just put about a too much in it. That'll be good, because I don't have any paint thinner. Maybe a little more. She's thirsty. Just get it fucking everywhere. Ooh, it's starting to drip out the bottom. Alright, I'm gonna get to mixing. That's pretty rusty. Whoo boy. Just gonna rinse that out a couple of times and till that comes out not that color. And we'll just ignore it and just run with it. Oh, spare metal. Yeah, that's pretty horrifying. But I don't care. So we're just gonna leave that. Also doesn't help that there's not a funnel shape to the bottom, so I can't really just spray stuff in there and rinse it out, because I then have to shake the entire can and then throw all the sediment back up on the wall. So I might, if I can find something with the right kind of threads, thread something on there and put it in the vise and just give her a couple of whacks and see if I can bow the bottom out a bit. Or I'll probably not do that, because I'm sure I'll snap those welds down there at the bottom and make this totally unusable. So we're just going to run with this. That's why they make fuel filters. Oh yeah, there's some sediment right there. Yeah, and that's probably only a sixth of it, because the rest of it came out in the trash can. Alright, so here's what I cobbled together in order to continue to use the old fuel tank, and in an attempt to try and clean it out some more, is I've just taken 3 inches of 5/16 or 8mm fuel line, connected that to a fuel filter, connected that with another 3 inches of fuel line to a hand primer bulb, and then I've used another 3 inches of fuel line to connect that to the original hard line. And as you can see by that, this is 18 inches longer than the little tiny bowl that this bolted directly to. But this will definitely work, because I do not have a gasket for that original glass fuel bowl, and I've ordered some cork gasket material in order to make one, but until that arrives I want to try and test this. So we're going to run with this because I had all of this lying around. So that just means that I'll have to mount the fuel tank that much higher above it, which I'm sure I can figure something out with some coat hangers or something like that. I was going to try and do something with a bottle, but I figured, hell, I'll kill two birds with one stone. I'll clean some of the sediment out, which is also why I have this primer bulb here instead of here. Normally, you always want to run a primer bulb ahead of the filter, because then when you run the system dry, you just put fuel in there and it fills up the bulb, and you just squeeze that. It fills up your filter and it forces fuel through the system a lot faster. But because there's going to be so much sediment coming out of this and getting into this filter, I put the bulb over here so that all of that sediment doesn't go into my bulb, and then the next time I use this, I dump a bunch of sediment into whatever I'm trying to work on. So we're basically going to use that filter to clean out this system, and we're going to sacrifice that. And while I wait on parts to rebuild the original fuel filter, I did just get in my spark plugs today. I thought I just bought one spark plug, but I got two, so that's nice. And here's the carburetor rebuild kit. I don't know if I'm going to need to use that yet. We'll have to hook this up and see if gas starts flowing out of every single crack in that carburetor. And if it does, we'll fix it. So I just adjusted the governor so that now the throttle sits closed at idle position, because this is the idle position screw. So now, as you can see, the throttle is closed instead of wide the fuck open. I've adjusted this needle valve down here to 1.5 turns out from bottomed, and I've also adjusted the I guess this is the idle mixture screw. I forget what exactly it was called in the manual, but I've adjusted that to about 5/8 of a turn out from bottomed. And all of these are the initial starting settings, so this will hopefully get the engine to run in its current condition. I also just came in here to the points and condenser, and I set the points to 20 thou, and by that I mean I put the feeler gauge in it, and it's slightly over 20 thou. It's well below 25 thou, but slightly over 20 thou, and it said to adjust this eccentric screw in order to it's probably that one. Anyway, it said to adjust one of these screws, and that didn't work, so I'm just going to call it good. It's close enough for government work.